What's up guys, it's Worlds Playins and we're doing predictions and breakdowns for the first 4 matches of Worlds Playins. So before we get into predictions, we need to talk about the meta. So Riot has banned the lane swaps essentially, where if you lane swap you get way more heavily punished, you might lose your full tower and you won't trade plates. So with that off the map, now we're going to be seeing a lot more individual skill needed from each team. You're not allowed to just pick Cassante and then just tank laning phase and then be useful later. Now a lot of the top laners that had counter pick now get to use their counter pick properly. You're seeing a lot of top laners playing range champs, 80 carries top, etc. Now we're going to have to see how a weaker individual teams deal with very crazy top lane picks. Same with bot lane. Now we can see more range supports because people are forced to play laning phase. Alright, the first match of the day, Viking Esports versus Mad Lions. Now, these two teams are respectively second seed in their region, both losing to the first seed by 3-1 or 3-0. 3-1 for G2 and 3-0 for GAM. Now, EU overall is probably a better region than VCS. But the thing is, VCS has a lot of potential. Okay, so you've always seen them to be the underdogs. They're pretty much not underdogs anymore. But the very fact that they pretty much always make it to the play-in stage, past the play-in stage. But people still view them as underdogs because they haven't got to that next level. That being said, the last time we saw Vietnam as a region play, they lost like half their members because of the betting scandal. So GAM played with 3 out of 5 of their starting roster, or 2 out of 5, and they still managed to beat top Western teams. Off the top of my head, LCS teams, if I do remember myself. So that is a sign that I don't even know the Viking top lane or teams. I've scrimmed them and they're very good personally, but they can slot in any players and they'll do well. That's just, playing with subs is just insane, and beating a top Western team that gets paid like 100x your salary. So that being said, I don't know the individual players very well, but I know whichever roster they field, they're just going to do very well regardless. It's more about, can this team beat the other team rather than individual skill. So that being said, like I told you before guys, there's going to be no lane swaps anymore, so individual skill is going to matter a lot. So that's where Mad is going to probably have the advantage in terms of the laning phase. But what I think is going to happen is the top lane matchup is going to be a complete banger. So we've got Myron versus Nananoi. Both top laners like to play a lot of weird champions, especially Myron. Playing Nidalee top, playing Smolder top, Lulu top. These are interesting counter picks that you're seeing a lot more nowadays, but you have to keep in mind he was counter picking before anyone else. So everyone started following the trend of counter picking top, and now it's normal to pick Smolder top, but he was picking Smolder top before anyone else. So props to this guy for, just pretty much trend setting or being early to the spot. So that is going to be a really good, interesting matchup for top side. But my argument is going to be that Viking Esports is probably going to 2-1 or at least take a game off Mad Lions. I think it's going to be a huge upset, but I do think it's going to happen, because of the fact that Asian top laners play all the weird shit, right? So doing all these weird counter picks are always going to work on Western players, but on Asian top laners, it's not going to work as well, in my opinion. I think a lot of the individual skill is probably going to come from mid and bot if they're going to win this, because I think that most of the time, Asian top laners deal really well with unorthodox picks. And I know there's going to be a high kill game as well. So that's why this series could swing either way, because both teams in their respective league is a very high kill game. So it's going to be a banger, but I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that it's either going to be 2-1 to Viking Esports or 2-0. All right, moving on. Now we got Pain Gaming versus PSG. Now, PSG is a team that is going to be the favorite no matter what in this matchup because of the fact that they've got really, really good team overall. They don't rely on a certain player to carry. If they were to rely on someone to do work when they're behind, it's definitely Junja. But their whole team overall is going to be very good. They've got Betty, they've got Woody, who stepped up clearly in their finals, and then they've got what do you call it? Their tank top laner, Azzy. He is able to play tanks, he's able to play carry, he's a very stable top laner, and he's pretty underrated for the team overall. I know I'm glazing PSG, it's because I've scrimmed them in the recent 2 months in playoffs when I was in Taiwan, and I've also seen them play, so I know how good they actually are. And as you guys know, the Asian network, right? You got to consider the Asian network. Pain Gaming is like OS, like where I'm from. They're completely isolated. They only verse each other. The Asian network, Southeast Asian teams scrimming Chinese teams scrimming Korean teams scrimming VCS, PCS, you name it. It's like 6 regions in one. They all get to scrim each other. So that being said, it's probably going to be a 2-0. I can clearly see from watching Pain, they build very good comps. They understand how to play the game at their level. But you have to understand, they did 3-0 their competition. But the problem with their competition, Vivo Kids Stars, is you see they're playing Victor mid. They're dying level 3 as Lilia to Sejuani in a counter matchup. This will never ever happen versus an Asian jungler or versus an Asian team. They're not just randomly going to punish early game mistakes like that and get a lead. So that being said, it's going to be a 2-0 to PSG. I can see Pain Gaming maybe there's like a 1% chance they get an upset. Maybe they've found new picks. I'm not sure. Maybe the meta really favors them, but to be absolutely honest, I think PSG is going to be a real dark horse at Worlds this year. Not just talking about Playins, I'm talking about they make it to the World stage and they beat top Western teams. So 2-0 for PSG. Now we have SHG versus GAM. SHG, very, very good team. Haven't scrimmed them, but I know they're a very, very good team. They beat Frank Esports to make it to the finals, and then they ended up losing to PSG, which is an extremely good team. I would say I put them in the same boat as Mad Lions, where they're the clear number 2 in the APAC region, but they are not good enough to beat the number 1 seeds, such as G2. In this case, it's going to be PSG, which is the clear, very good team, number 1 seed. So now you're put in a situation where you've got the number 1 seed, GAM, VCS, 3-0ing the finals versus Viking Esports versus the number 2 seed. And I think that GAM are definitely going to be the favorites in this one, but it's going to be very close. So you've got Evie and you've got Forest, who have shown to be levels above their opposition in their own respective region, able to carry on the likes of Kennen, and Forest on the likes of Vi, being able to engage very well. Just knowing the meta is going to probably be mages and AD bruisers, and probably the trend's probably going to go away from AD carry and AP jungle. I think that's going to be a really good meta for SHG, along the fact that Evie, not Levi, likes to play a lot of AP top laners, such as Kennen and Rumble. So we're going to be seeing a lot of, can GAM neutralize top jungle and win on the rest of the map? Because I think GAM win it's almost like a mini PSG. They win without their jungler having to carry because all their team is good already. But Levi is somewhat similar in position as Junja, where he has an amazing team, but of course he's the leader. He's the captain. If things go wrong, it's on him to essentially make plays and do stuff. So definitely going to lean towards Gam on this one, but I do not think it's going to be a dominant win. I think SHG is a really good team, so 2-1 to Gam. So for the last best of 3 today, we've got 100 Thieves versus Rainbow 7. Now, 100 Thieves is the clear favorite in this one, but I will say that I'm leaning towards Rainbow 7 actually taking a game. 100 Thieves was able to beat C9 to make it to Worlds this year, and Rainbow 7 has just been the dominant team. They 3-0'd in their finals, but the thing to note about this matchup is the top lane matchup. The reason why I think this could be a very close series is because you've got Summit, Korean top laner, ex-TL top laner, who is very good, has a really bad champion pool, but is really, really good on the champions he plays, such as Rumble. I'm sure if you can play Rumble, you can play Cannon most of the time. So he's got an extension of carry top laners, such as Rumble, Cannon, Camille, which I'm pretty sure is going to be very good in the current meta. And with that being said, you're versing a rookie top laner, first time going to Worlds, and in the sniper, and he's also got a very similar, if not similar champion pool, similar way of playing the game. They both want to be high impact and play damage champions. So I think that this is going to be a very dangerous matchup for 100 Thieves, even though you're versing a LAN team. It's going to be very dangerous for them. So I'm looking honestly at a 2-1 to 100 Thieves, because of just the fact that it's the top lane matchup, and then we've got also Oddie, who's been is a veteran jungler. He's a very good jungler. He'll match up perfectly fine versus River. Of course, we got to think about the mid and bot matchup. That's going to be dangerous. Tomo has stepped up in the recent weeks, replacing the other AD carry that I've completely forgotten about, and he's done very well. And then you've got Quid, the mid laner, Korean mid laner. So I do think 100 Thieves are heavily favored, but if Summit gets ahead in the top lane matchup with as well as Oddie playing well in the jungle, I do see them taking one game. So I'm going to say 2-1 to 100 Thieves.
Subscribe me.